Hello everybody. I hope you can hear me well. It shows that I have a good sound. So this is the first Saturday of February, and as usual, I have my monthly chat with you. Okay, hi Judy. I was a little bit, you saw me frowning because I was a little bit miffed. Because of course, I made sure that Whisper One had everything he needed. But the moment I sat here and I was getting ready to click the start streaming, he came to say that he wanted something. And the thing is that now it's not as easy as before to let him go out. I have first to run and catch Finnegan because I don't dare to open the back door while Finnegan is on the floor, running freely. So I'm gonna see what exactly he wants. But anyway, that's why you saw me frowning. So hello everybody. I hope everybody is starting the February nice. Hi, Mam Gusian. I can just say hi on your screen names. Hi, Arlena. Hi, Ermi. Yes, you're just in time. Hi, Isabel. Thank you. I got, I think I showed them before. I got at one point, they were on the clearance rack at one of my local stores. They are little temporary colors by L'Oreal. And they were for $1. They're little sprays, and you can just, if you just want to look a little bit different that day, you can just put them on. And I finally started waking up at a more humane hour, not between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So I woke up at 5:30. The intention was to dye my hair, but I didn't have time because I got caught with all kinds of other things. Hi, Laos. And I just had to make my hair look somehow, more humanely. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Cricket. So, what are we going to talk about today? As usual, I catch you up with what's been going on in my life. I am proud to tell you that I don't seem to have any extra health issue. Yeah, honestly, I don't think this is classic blue. I think it looks more like, what's the name of it? Prussian blue. I hate the color of the year. That classic blue, I have a about it. Hi, Susan. Hi, Mihail. But anyway, the only thing I'm still struggling with is the fatigue. I called to get a new appointment with my endocrinologist because I think that my thyroid went again too low and they need to readjust my meds. And it's not much I can do about it. I had severe hyperthyroidism because I have Graves' disease. And about a month before I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had the radioactive iodine ablation. They couldn't do surgery because the thyroid was wrapped all around the vocal box and I could have lost my voice. So, and my thyroid was so feisty that it took it about a year and a half to get to normal. And then it stayed like that until fall of 2017. When I started feeling fatigued, I started putting on weight and I was complaining to all the doctors. They were doing the basic thyroid thing. They're like, no, you're fine. Until my breast cancer surgeon said, you know what, let's just do a full thyroid panel. And sure enough, I was low. So I started taking the thyroid meds for a little bit. It looked like it was okay, but I think it's just going. So anyway, where are we? Are you going to see soon tutorials weekly? I sure hope so. I still have a little bit more. I'm struggling with the sponsor tutorials because of all the stuff that happened last year with cataract surgery for both eyes, with frozen shoulder and all that. I was behind. And then I'll be able to, but I'm still working on some stuff to put on YouTube, so hopefully soon I'm gonna be rolling them out. I had another 2 days of, actually in January I had about close to a week of stuff that held me back. Was we had a couple cold fronts passing by, and I can tell you whenever the barometer falls under 30, I can barely move because the bottom 2/3 of my back is scar tissue. And because they took that muscle from my back to do the breast reconstruction, the remaining muscles cannot compensate. So I get a lot of burning. And I do have this, as you can see, it's a massage thingy that I can use, but that's not always possible. See, it just goes, it's a shiatsu massage. Let me see if you can see. See how these things move? And it helps a lot with the scar tissue, because the scar tissue starts tightening up, but it doesn't help a lot with the burning, spasming muscles. Nevertheless, it's a great thing. So I had about 2 days one time and 3 days one time until the cold front completely passed over us. I wasn't able to do much. And then, when did it happen? So I got yesterday, Wednesday. If you remember, a couple years ago, almost a couple years ago, I got a new monitor because I could barely see with my small one being old. Once I got this new table, because it's much wider, and I got a new monitor, 27-inch, and Wednesday it died. And I tried working with, of course I ordered a new one, but it didn't come in until yesterday. I tried working on the old one, but it was practically impossible. And just to give you an idea, because a lot of people ask me why in the beginning you were coming up with almost a video a day and then you started slowing down. Well, the main reason is that if you look at the quality of my videos in the first almost a year, that is the reason why, because I was using just Windows Movie Maker, and I had, in the very beginning, I had just an old web camera. But then I was able to purchase a more professional video editing software, and that allows me to do a whole bunch of other things. And I will show you, because I thought this is something that nobody has seen before, but this way I can show you how I am actually working on things. And you know that I can show you my screen with this, because I'm streaming through OBS, and I will show you exactly how a video gets done. So let's say that I have something that I let me get on something that I did tape. That's for a new YouTube video. It's one of those for the fans of Witcher. You know that in the episodes of the first season, at the very beginning, it showed some kind of sigil that it had. The first one had, if I'm not mistaken, the sun and the star. Then another one had, okay, I didn't put it here. Just a second. I already got it. And I made the wolf paw. Okay, let's see. So the way that it works, let me switch to the screen. The way that it works is, so I have these are my clips, okay? So, and this is all my editing thing. And I still have it on. Okay, so let me see if I get what I taped comes here. I put it in here. Then I have to remove whatever was, because I usually listen to audiobooks or any kind of videos or stuff. So I first need to remove the initial audio. Then I'm going to make the image better. So I'm going to Effects, and I am going to first work a little bit with the brightness and contrast and that. So I'm going to need to make it a little bit brighter. And then of course I need to make it faster, because if I would just go with the regular speed, it wouldn't be that good. So this is a fairly good one, but as you can see I didn't start on it for a while. So I'm going to have to go here and remove the empty clips, because see for how long they go. So I'm going to cut it from here, remove this, and then of course you notice that I'm not going to leave each and every little thing on. I'm just showing the beginning, the middle pretty much, and the last, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of transition. So I'm skimming through all this. Of course I'm not gonna save this, this is just, you know, just to show you how the process is. So after I'm happy with this, you can see it goes pretty good. I can see here whatever. Remember, I cannot see the chat for the moment, but what follows, let me see, I'm going to get, okay, the Darlene. This is one of the tutorials that I have already put up, the Darlene. And here you'll be able to see all the steps that I do in a video. So as you can see, this is all cut and edited here. I have an intro, and as you can see, this is, I have here the subtitles that appear. This is the subtitles thing. This is the music part, and this is my narration. So here I have the information, but I also have, once I put the music and the voice, and each of these I create, each of these subtitles. Once I do all this, I didn't do much in this one because I just left the music up, but normally what I do, I simply, so that you can hear better, I usually just keep cutting the music and then getting the music volume lower, higher between the clips, but I keep it lower when I'm talking. So I need to go through all of this and fix it like this, because normally if I don't do this, this is what it sounds like.
Cylinder plug into a cube.
The music is much lower, but if I do the other audio editing,
Sunk darkens quite a bit after it's baked and cooled.
the music comes back up. So essentially this is what I need to do in order to be able to do good quality videos. So yeah, you saw the teaser for the Witcher thing, and I fully intend to make more of those sigils. And another thing will be a combination of polymer clay and resin for what is this? I don't want this. Where's my, I turn this off. The polymer clay and resin for Boulder Fire Opal. And I do have several 4 gemstones. I'm going to bring up a new mother of pearl, this time made with cernite, and I will make a new abalone for the sponsors, because I did a full abalone for the sponsors like 2 years ago in the very beginning of my sponsorship program, but this is much better, and I'm going to actually use cernite this time. The other things, I have several things lined up for reviews, including the new, and that is very important because you might want to get it. Cernite has 2 new things. Of course, they have the varnish, they have the gloss and matte. I got finally a whole series of varnishes that I'm going to test and show you. Show you the results. But Cernite also came up with Cernite glue, and that is the equivalent of Bake and Bond, and with Cernite Magic Mix, which is the equivalent of the liquid clay softener of Premo. So I cannot wait to show you how awesome those are. Honestly, personally, I love much better the liquid clay softener than the little bricks of clay softener, and you know, Fimo has them, Cernite has them, and recently Scalpy came up with a clay looking like clay softener. No, I'm not very happy with them. I prefer the liquid clay softener no matter what. I think that it does a much better it gives a much better result. The clay is more malleable, the texture is much better, and I'm still working, because I started it since last year, with the tips for beginners, and in that one I say very clearly there's this myth that you can soften your clay using baby oil, or some people say petroleum jelly or Vaseline, and I do not recommend you do that. Yes, it does soften the clay, but it influences a lot, and that's why it takes me so long to make that beginner tutorial, because I'm working on some animations in it, so it would be much easier understood. Baby oil is very different from the plasticizer that is in the clay. It will soften the clay because it is, the plasticizer is also a type of silicone oil. What's LCS? Oh, liquid clay softener. Duh. Yeah, I usually get it from Trish, because she's got the price is cheaper than Amazon, but from PolyClay from Trish. But what I was talking about, the baby oil for softening clay, it would be like replacing, if you make a cake and you replace the butter with margarine. it's going to completely change everything about that clay. So about that cake, when it comes to polymer clay, it's going to change the texture, it's going to change the hardiness, because it's not the same chemical. It doesn't have the same chemical properties that are required in order for the clay to condition properly, to bake properly, to if you try to make, let's say, something that you plan on sanding, buffing, varnishing, whatever, it's going to look way different on something that was softened with baby oil than on something that was softened with actual clay softener. The other thing that I don't understand is, let's see, just on plain Amazon, just as an idea of a price, baby oil, generally speaking, is the same price, if not more expensive, than the liquid clay softener, generally speaking. If you want to work, it's not always, whenever you buy from Amazon, be very careful and do some research on the prices, because as you know, on Amazon, yeah, pretty much. On Amazon, there's a lot of sellers that gouge prices. So whenever you buy something from Amazon, do some research. That's why we usually spend at least anywhere between 2 and 4 hours a week on my Amazon influencer store to make sure that what I have in there has not become unavailable, or the price didn't go up, or there isn't a cheaper price for that specific product. You will see that in my influencer store there are 2 new boards. One is with nail polishes, because everybody's asking me about my nail polish and what do I use. And just for you to know what I usually use, yes, I do have, that's my hobby, that's my thing. I do have an extensive collection of nail polishes. And the other one, because people have asked and I didn't have time out, as I said, I'll probably get Finnegan his own little channel. For now, he has a Facebook page. He has a Facebook page and an Instagram. And I'll probably make him his own little Amazon store, because a lot of people ask me about all kinds of stuff that I'm using for him. So I put out there what he eats, what toys he prefers, and all that. And with my experiences, what was the best that I tried. To answer your question, Ermi, yes, it is very different. It's got the liquid clay softener, only has the plasticizer. The liquid clay has the clay to the plasticizer. This is, if you try to bake clay softener, it's not going to become solid. But if you bake liquid clay, it becomes solid. Liquid clay is just a polymer clay with more plasticizer in it, essentially. Well, in layman terms, it's a little bit different than that, but essentially this is what it is. Talking about it, yes, that is the reason why you can soften clay using liquid clay, because liquid clay has more plasticizer. That's what the liquid clay softener is, the plasticizer. And you bring more plasticizer in your raw clay. Another question that actually I'm going to ask for your help too, if there's anybody, and please, if you only see this in replay, please post in comments. I had one of my ladies asked about the fact that her resin molds have started to not give shiny cabochons or whatever. And she knew that there was something you can do to the mold to make it shine again. Well, I personally never heard about that, and I went and I searched for, I don't know, over an hour online, and everywhere that I saw the subject up, be it on forums, on Quora, on Reddit, on you name it, it seems that this happens often with the older style silicone molds, that on a microscopic level, whenever you pull out the casted resin, it will take a few molecules of the mold as well until the surface is not shiny anymore. In my experience, the plastic molds give the shiniest results, and also I've been very happy with this kind of molds. They are like a soft silicone but softer plastic, but they seem to do a much better job than the thick silicone molds like this one. These ones seem to be getting to get the results not very shiny very fast, and also being a very soft silicone, they are very prone to nicks, so you might get very often nicks that after that they will start coming up on each and every piece you're doing. But these are the ones that I recommend fully, and if you go in my Amazon influencer store, you'll see that I kind of separated in the resin. You'll find resins first. Usually they're first the casting resins, then the UV resins, then there are molds for resins, all kinds of molds, and then there are colors for resins. Be very careful with the colors for resins, because I have their colors for regular casting resin and some colors for UV resin. When you color UV resin, you want to make sure that you did choose a pigment that is translucent, because if your pigment is opaque in any way, it's going to stop the light from going through the resin, and that means that the resin will not harden. So very careful. Ellen Pardo should not crack if you conditioned it properly and if you baked it properly. Also, be very careful if your piece is too thick. The thing is that it doesn't matter if you leave it in the oven to cool down or if you take it out of the oven to cool down. But whenever your piece will be thicker than, I don't know, like not 5 millimeters, but like 1/4 of an inch, what happens is that the clay at the surface cools down before the clay inside. And if you remember physics, materials have the property of whenever they are cold, they shrink, and whenever they get warm, they dilate. So the clay that's on the surface will start shrinking while the clay inside is still warm and swollen. So your piece will crack. What can you do about it? It's the old quench in iced water thing. Whenever you do that, you force all the clay to cool off at the same time, so you will not get cracks. Another way, if you're doing a bigger piece or something, is to put something else inside. Usually what is used for a oh god, I have a brain fart. Excuse me. How is it called? The thing that you put in clay. You know, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I just cannot find it. Armature. You can use as armature, you can use aluminum foil. Good morning. And that usually cools off faster than the clay, so your clay on the surface will not crack, but your best bet is to put everything and quench it in water. Otherwise, why clay might crack when you bake it is, number one, if you didn't condition it enough. Because what happens, and this I will explain in that tutorial for beginners, what happens, the polymer clay is what's called a plastisol. And what are plastisols? Plastisols all have some type, imagine like if you had little beads floating in a that's your problem. That's your main problem. Okay, you never condition, you never put clay softener in Pardo. Hold on, let me find you the, you don't know how to condition Pardo. That's your problem. That's why it cracked. Okay, so because that's the main issue with people messing up Pardo, and this is why Pardo did not catch in the US, because they didn't put any kind of explanation on how Pardo is supposed to be conditioned. It conditions completely different than all the other clays, and you never need softener for Pardo, ever, ever, ever. Okay, so this is the first video on how to condition Pardo. And then I had this exactly what happened. Trish had a customer who returned Pardo to her because it was unconditionable and all that. So I made this live just to show that, and also that customer had put clay softener in it, to show what's the difference between proper conditioning Pardo and not knowing how to condition Pardo. You never ever put clay softener in Pardo. I don't know if I said hi Tina, but hi Tina. You have to always condition it on very thin slices, and it has to be warmed up because it's based on beeswax. What I usually do, you cannot do that with the makings because the makings rollers are covered with some type of Teflon. So I don't know, I never tried to do that with the makings machine. But on a regular metal rollers, what I usually do when I have to condition a lot of Pardo is I take out my heat gun and I heat up the rollers a little bit, not to the point of being too hot and bake the clay, you know, but it helps with softening up the Pardo. In that very first video, the tutorial on how to condition Pardo, you'll see that I'm conditioning a piece that I forgot how old it was. More than 10 years old anyway. Let me see if I did. No, I didn't. It's all spoken, so I don't know. I had 3 different Pardo packages, a fresh one that was only a couple years old, and one that was very old. And I showed exactly how to condition, and even the oldest Pardo. I have Pardo in the house that I got back in, whenever did it come to the US? I think it was like 2003, 2002, 2003, something like that. When it first came to the US, and it was in Hobby Lobby. And I still have packages from way back then. And it's still perfectly conditionable. You have absolutely no problem. Only never can try to condition it thick like we do with the other clays. We go on the thickest setting and then we start going thinner. No, with Pardo you go thin from the very start, and you want to warm it up, and you get it perfect, and it's got more elasticity than other clays. you can get it to supremely thin. And you can see if you watch that first video that I linked, I'm actually showing a very, very thin, and it looks exactly and feels exactly like silk. You can, and not only that, but it doesn't really stick to itself. So if you get a very thin sheet of Pardo and you cram it like this, you can reopen it into a perfect sheet with no wrinkles, no anything. It's very, very, very sturdy. It's really, now I start getting in love a little bit with the new Cernits, you know, with the translucent and the opaline. But until the new Cernits came out, my most favorite clay of all times is Pardo. I just don't make so many tutorials using Pardo because if you noticed, my channel caters to everybody and I go by percentages. I mean, let's say out of 100 people, there would be like 65% beginners, and then about 25% intermediate, and only the remaining, the top percent, will be advanced people. So I'm trying to keep my tutorials, let's say for one advanced, I would make 3 intermediate, and I would make 10 for more beginner people. Because my thing is, there's a lot of people who approach polymer clay and get excited, but if they do not have access to a tutorial that actually explains to them how to properly do things, not just the do this and do that, but actually do this because if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And also, if they are not tutorials, you notice that I don't really make very simple things. I mean, things that are like just do this and cut this and do this. I do simple things, but the result looks good, looks professional, but it's very easy to make. That is because I want to entice the newcomers to the polymer clay world to see that they don't have to be intimidated, and even if they don't know much, they can still make beautiful things. So yeah, but Ermi, don't put beeswax in Pardo, okay? Because it's treated in a certain way to put it there. So with Pardo, just simply warm it up and condition it on thin. Okay, let me see if I had any other question that I completely went over. No, I forgot. Maybe. Not this, sorry. Not this. Give me just a second. I'm going through my messages and my notes. And yes, you will see soon some more paid videos. No, I didn't. I don't think I forgot anything. Yes, there was a question. Okay, there was a question about, if you remember, thank you, Kelly. If you remember, I did 3D canes using an extruder. And actually, let me look for it. So I can give you a reminder. And somebody asked me, how would these work with mica clay? Well, they won't work that good because of the mica shift. In order to make it look good, you'll have to use very differentiated in color clays, like white pearl with bronze. You'd have to have a white or a mix of gold and white, because otherwise, remember that whenever the mica particles are seen from the side, they are dark. So you'll have a whole bunch of, that I made quite a number of tutorials based on the mica shift property of the mica clays. But when you go this small, it's going to pretty much look like a blur. It's not going to do much. So I honestly encourage you not to go for that, because it's not going to look very good. It's going to be just pretty much a blur. The same that goes whenever you try to use in a cane striped cane elements, but then you reduce it a lot. You won't be able to see the striped thing. You'll see pretty much a blur. And in canes generally, if you intend to reduce them quite a bit, you need to use contrasting colors, because otherwise everything's going to blur. This is why I never recommend, if you remember my 101 complex canes, I never recommend to do, okay, this is not it, complex, let me look for complex, to reduce too much that original triangle that you start with. Don't go to reducing it and rearranging it too many times, because all the elements will go so small that it will be quite impossible to do anything. Hold on, I just got out of my live room. Give me just a second. Okay, there we go. I'm back in my live room. Because if I'm not there, I cannot turn off the video. Anyway, so this is pretty much it. And as I said, I have in plan a lot of reviews. Of course, I'm going to post really soon a couple Valentine's tutorials. But remember that if you're in a inspiration stop, if you go on my channel, click on the playlists tab, and in the playlists tab you will find that I have sorted my because right now I have close to 700 videos out there, and it's kind of difficult to find something. I pretty much got them sorted, and I have, or at least I thought I did, a Valentine's Day playlist. Let me look, because I have a lot of playlists too. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I need to make a Valentine's Day. I'm gonna make a Valentine's Day playlist, because I guess I didn't make one. I promise you I'll just make one. And so that you, in case you run out of inspiration, you can go ahead and just find all kinds, because I know I did quite a bit of things for Valentine's Day. I did druzy. There are quite a few. I did more sponsor C-inspired tutorials, but I do have in plan to do some C-inspired, and there will be combinations of polymer clay and resin. And I got a whole bunch of little inclusions and stuff. Check my resin board in the Amazon influencer store, and it might give you an idea Under pink? What do you mean under pink? I might have to make a few a few lists based on colors, maybe. But no, I don't have a Valentine's Day. Yeah, don't forget, you guys, don't forget to give me thumbs up right here under the video, and remember that I do have a sponsorship program. $1 a month gives you access to a sponsors only live tutorial that is always on the last Friday of the month. $3 a month give you access to all my live and to all the former lives, and you can actually see the description. Even if, remember, I've been, and sometimes I might be a little bit late in putting up the tutorials, then go into the store. Oh, I made several pink stones, Judy. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to work and do some Valentine playlist. But remember to give me the thumbs up if you liked what I said. What I can tell you is that generally the sponsors tutorials, sponsors lives, I don't make a project with the sponsors lives. In the sponsors lives, there are more, if you want, some of them are actually art classes in which I explain different art currents, different things like color theory, like how to combine colors, how to design the jewelry, what to look for when you're designing the jewelry and all that. And I discuss jewelry trends of that year. Sometimes some of them are actually explaining techniques. I don't really do much. I do sometimes, but whenever it's about explaining a technique, I don't really do much, let's do a pendant, or that's reserved for the paid tutorials. But this is what the sponsors only lives are. So anyway, for finding all about my sponsorship, let me get you to where to find it on my website, and there you go, it's right here. That's fine, you don't have to. And as I said, if you cannot afford to sponsor me, the best is whenever you do your shopping for your supplies, just first enter in my Amazon store, and then you can buy whatever you want. My cookie, as long as you don't get out before paying, my cookie will be there, and I will get a few cents commission from every product you buy. Or if you purchase from PolyClay, use my affiliate. I don't get money from Trish for that, but I get credit with the store, and I can use the credit to buy supplies. So remember, that is how you can still support me, even if you cannot afford to pay anything extra, because your prices don't change. It's just supporting me without spending anything extra. So I guess I'm going to have to take care of Whisper. And remember, tomorrow we will be continuing that steampunk journal, and I'm going to head also to the Days Playground Facebook group, because I need to put out and if you're not a member of that, you can join. I do make available 1 to 2 former sponsor only lives for watching during that month. And actually, last month was the introduction to steampunk and what is steampunk and how is it different of other currents and how sometimes something else is mislabeled as steampunk. And then this month it will be the continuation into how to make I think if it was an owl that I made, and a fish. I showed how to make a fish, and I'm not sure if I showed the butterfly, but I know for a fact that it was a fish and an owl. So I shall see you all tomorrow, and we will continue the pretty journal. And then the next Sunday we'll do some Valentine thing. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'm sorry you just got at the end, but you can always watch it in replay. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Love you all. Goodbye.